news media. Also, I said, gosh, you think they turned on the air raid sirens for show business reasons? Well, wait till you hear what CNN had to say. A CNN reporter had to say about that. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Jeff calling from Wilmington, North Carolina. Jeffrey, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for taking the call. I wanted to address this Biden trip and in context to its message, Kamala's trip as well. In one weekend, we have a unique scenario where vice president and president are singularly declaring war unofficially on another country, ratcheting us into World War III, proxy or whatever. It doesn't matter when things are blowing up, of course. And for anyone who thinks this election didn't land ethically, we're all being dragged into this. This is not a drill. This is the real thing. This is going to become one of those moments where you wonder, you remember where you were when Kennedy got shot, when 9/11 happened, and this last weekend right here. This is going to be a tectonic shift in world events, and I don't want to miss out on Biden's imminent signing of a treaty with the World Health Organization that will essentially eliminate our sovereignty with regards to anything to do with health or rights or digital ID or tracking or any of that. All in the space of a week, we will have turned back into 13 colonies or worse at the hands of this team. And Congress, interestingly, has taken the lead on this gender business that you're talking about, to the point where I guess I wonder if swamp scum is actually a gender. Because where's Congress in any of this? Where's all of the hollering from the halls? Where's all of that? If any of the fervor that's been swirling around J6 and everything else that they yell about could be directed at this United States absolute plowing into World War III, and not one mention of peace brokerage, despite the Israeli prime minister's attempts a year ago. He recently walked that back, interestingly. Nobody's bringing these people to the table. The only option that's being pushed here is trying to end a war with more war. We know this doesn't work. Go ask a Vietnam vet.
Well, you called in with your muzzle loaded, didn't you? You got plenty of stuff in there. Now, Joe Biden going to Ukraine and sneaking in and promising another $500 million of our money to Ukraine to fight the evil, sinister Vladimir Putin. And he is an evil, sinister person. But, you know, there's a lot to talk about there. Crimea and Georgia, and not Crimea River, but and he is dialing it up. And then Kamala declaring that Russia and Putin have committed crimes against humanity. Now, crimes against humanity actually requires, on the part of the United Nations, certainly, and I believe NATO also, that if you have crimes against humanity being committed, that we have by charter a requirement to stand up to respond to that. And, you know, it's one of a small number of nuclear armed nations in the world, and it's run by Vlad the Impaler, a communist from the USSR who flashed forward to the future. And here is Vlad the Impaler in charge of Russia and with the nuclear arsenal, and he doesn't like anybody. I was telling you, I guess it was on Friday, right? We were talking about all the Russians that have crossed Putin and have been flying out of windows and buildings and accidentally shooting themselves in the head in their cars in what, you know, we're determined to be suicides because it's Russia and Putin's a communist. And also there's a bit of news today on China and Antony Blinken, stinking and nod, who is in Turkey, promising $100 million of our money to Turkey because they had this awful, terrible earthquake, really incredibly awful earthquake. And but here's $100 million. Thanks very much. And Blinken is saying that China is now in talks with Russia to help them in Ukraine more directly, militarily. more directly than they have been thus far. So there are a lot of pieces moving, and also there's a story in the Washington Stinking Post today about the U.S. leading an effort to cage in China in Asia. But honestly, this Kamala thing declaring crimes against humanity, and that's one of the key elements that you're talking about, right, Jeff, is that, stumbling us into greater conflict directly with the nuclear armed Russia under the communist Putin, right, Jeff?
Correct.
Yeah, and you covered a lot of waterfront. You covered a lot of territory there along the waterfront, and the World Health Organization. Tell me about the Biden administration ceding U.S. autonomy to the World Health Organization.
Biden is apparently going to use a blueprint that Obama used with the Iran deal with regards to sidestepping Congress with international treaty process. I don't know all the nuts and bolts of it, but that's the short version. And with it goes complete control to the World Health Organization. If they declare a thumb war, there'll be a thumb war, so to say. If they want you to wear masks, lockdowns, you name it, the World Health Organization will tell you what you're doing on Main Street or any street, USA, not our Congress, not our elected people. You might as well stay home and don't vote. There's a lot that can be said about that, of course. But the bottom line here is our sovereignty with regards to our freedoms, if anybody cares about that anymore, is about to get erased on the 27th of this month by Joe Biden with a sweetheart deal in a dark room.
Yeah, our government is evolving into the way that the Democrats see it, our Lord and Master, and we are just serfs. And also the Davos crowd with the globalization of everything and the international organizations. And Biden last week, thank you, Jeff, action-packed first call of the week. I've got to say, good stuff. Last week, U.S. News and World Report had the headline, Biden administration releases COVID-19 public health emergency transition roadmap. And the Biden administration gave formal notice to governors, U.S. governors, that it is lifting its public health emergency declaration in May, a move with sweeping implications for healthcare and immigration. They wrote. Now, the World Health Organization, at the same time, the U.S. News and World Report piece says, the announcement came about lifting the COVID-19 emergencies came the same day the World Health Organization decided that the pandemic remains a public health emergency of international concern